Hey guys, Unknown Knight here. My first video of the year will be an in-depth guide on the ex-president perk deck. And when I say in-depth, I really mean in-depth. So when I'm finally done, if you appreciate my hard work and information, do give me a like and share it with your crew and friends. I'll be covering on the ins and outs of the deck, then we'll compare it to the other builds. To summarize, we'll be looking at the Point Break perk or the Regen perk, the Perfect Line perk or the Armor perk, stats from the deck, and comparison with other builds and decks. I'll be trying out various builds and adding it to a playlist so you can bookmark the playlist and check it out again from time to time. This will be a long video and a lot of talking, so here's some bookmarks to guide you through. Alright, let's take a look at this. The ex-president perk deck is part of the Free Body character pack that was released at the same time with the Point Break DLC. You may have heard that the ex-president is a poor man's grinder, but today I'll show you that there's more to it. If you haven't read the backstory at all, go read it. You'll find that the Point Break perk actually fits the backstory very well. So, looking at the Point Break perk, while your armor is up, you will store 4 health or 12 health when you have completed the full deck for every 1 enemy you or your crew kills. This includes your sentries, joker, and trip mines. And then when your armor has been completely depleted and then starts to regenerate, you will gain health equal to the stored amount. Lastly, we have maximum storage depends on equipped armor. So the theme of this perk is pretty straightforward. When you have armor, every kill increases your storage by 12 points. You'll regenerate health when regenerating armor from 0. Maximum storage depends on armor equipped. So let's take a look at how the perk looks like in-game. Alright, so we have some gameplay going on here. You'll notice an inner bar, I like to call it a wheel, within the health bar, and that's your health storage. Let's zoom in right there. So you can see, every kill fills your storage. And you regenerate when recovering armor from 0 armor. Now next, a quick pause. Here's something that I missed out myself when playing the ex-president deck. It's pretty nifty. So we already know it shows the amount of storage, but the wheel actually moves when you're not at full health. And why? If you look at the outer wheel, it shows you your current health, your maximum health. The inner wheel then shows you the amount in your storage and moves to align with the outer wheel to show you how much you can regenerate. Pretty cool, huh? Of course, if you notice here, the storage is more than what we need, so that brings us to our next point. When regenerating, any extra storage is wasted. And lastly, even at full health, the storage will be depleted. So these are the 5 basic points about the Point Break perk. Now let's take a look at the maximum storage for every armor. So basically, every armor has its own storage capacity. Less armor, more storage. From the weakest armor to the strongest, Suit takes 18 kills to completely fill, stores 210 of 332 health for 65.21%, LBV 17 kills, 202.5 health, 62.88%, BV 16 kills, 187.5 health, 58.23%, HBV 15 kills, 180 health, 55.9%, flak jacket, 13 kills, 157.5 health, 48.91%, the CTV, 12 kills, 142.5 health, 44.25%, and lastly the ICTV, 5 kills, 60 health, which is the least, at 18.63%. So with this chart you can see that there's a trade-off, and for good reason. The more armor you have, the less likely you'll break the armor, so you rely less on the regeneration and the amount of storage. For the suit, 18 kills is very manageable, since cops spawn in groups of 2 to 4. When spread out, the entire crew can generally get about 8 to 16 kills per encounter. If you're sticking together, you'll most likely suffer minimal damage, so 2 to 4 kills is also great. And in ICTV, it will be harder for your armor to break, so it's also pretty easy to get to full storage. Now, to summarize the pros and cons for the point break or the regeneration perk, let's start with the pros. So obviously, one of the pro here is regeneration. And all kills add to your storage. That includes the bots, your crew, trip mine, joker, and sentries. And it works with all armors, unlike Grinder, which only works with the suit and the LBV. And this is the first non-DLC dodge build with regeneration. So moving on to the cons, it needs broken armor to regenerate. If you're already using a no regeneration deck like Armorer, this shouldn't bother you. However, at near 0 health, trying to regenerate is very difficult and risky. So I would suggest having other regeneration like Hostage Taker from Mastermind, or if your crew has the Gambler deck. And as mentioned earlier, extra storage when regenerating is wasted. Regeneration occurs even at full health. And this is bad for tougher enemies or prolonged fights, like with Bulldozers, Hector, the Commissar, and Winters. And lastly, not as useful for solo play without bots, except only the ICTV. And that sums up the pros and the cons. And next, we'll be looking at the perfect line or the armor recovery perk. So, the perfect line perk. Killing an enemy speeds up your armor recovery time, depending on your armor. More armor, less recovery speed. And it resets when you recover armor. This is different than the point break perk. To activate, the kill must be made by you or your trip mines. This time round, jokers and sentries do not. Well, hardly anyone uses trip mines and ex-president nowadays, so just remember that you need to score a kill yourself. Now we're heading on to the armor recovery formula itself. There's going to be a lot of numbers here. If you want to, you can skip ahead to the final chart. Otherwise, bear with me and stick around. The armor recovery is based on this formula: a constant of 3 or 1.75 for offline, multiplied by any skill or deck multipliers, divided by the regeneration speed of 1, then adding 1 second, which is the bullet suppression cooldown, to that result. So let's take a look at some examples. So far we have 2 skill multipliers in the game, Bulletproof Ace from the Technician tree and Die Hard Ace from the Enforcer tree. Bulletproof Ace gives a 25% bonus, which translates to a 0.75 multiplier, and Die Hard Ace gives 15%, which is an 0.85 multiplier. Assuming we have both and nothing else, armor recovery would be 3 times 0.85 times 0.75 divided by 1 plus 1 to get about 2.91 seconds. Let's take a look if you have the Armorer deck as well. Armorer gives 10% or 0.9 to self and another 10% or 0.9 to the crew. So we have 3 times 0.85 times 0.75 times 0.9 times 0.9 and divided by 1 and plus 1 to get about 2.54 seconds. Now you should have a good idea how to calculate the recovery speed. Let's take a look at the two top decks before the ex-president. Previously in second place, we have the Hitman deck at 45% or 0.55 with the Armorer Crew bonus 0.9 and Bulletproof and Die Hard. We have 3 times 0.85 times 0.75 times 0.9 times 0.55 divided by 1 plus 1 to get 1.94 seconds. And the previous top place, the Yakuza deck, with Berserk at 0% health for 60% or 0.4 with the Armorer Crew bonus and Bulletproof and Die Hard, you would have 3 times 0.85 times 0.75 times 0.9 times 0.4 divided by 1 plus 1 to get 1.68 seconds. Now, we have something to compare ex-president to. Also, why I'm bringing up the formula for the other decks is because the perfect line is the first to not use multipliers but affect the regeneration speed directly. If you remember, the regeneration speed is right over here. From the suit to the ICTV, when you perform a kill, it adds 19.6, 18.9, 17.5, 16.8, 14.7, 13.3, and 5.6 to the regeneration speed. So the formula would be 3 divided by the new regeneration speed plus 1. So here's the final regeneration speed. I'm not going to calculate that out, it's going to be too long. From the suit to the ICTV, you have 1.14 seconds, 1.15, 1.16, 1.16 again, 1.19, 1.2, and 1.45. Just to compare again with the previous top decks, the Yakuza at its best 1.68 seconds, the Hitman at 1.94 seconds. You can clearly see that the perfect line trumps the Yakuza or Hitman deck anytime. Now to the pros and cons of the perfect line. Let's start with the pros. First, it is the fastest armor recovery deck. It is so fast that you can skip Bulletproof Ace and Die Hard Ace and spend those points elsewhere. And as before with the Point Break perk, this is a non-DLC perk deck. Next, recovery speed between armor types is negligible and is actually very suitable for all armors. The recovery time is so short that you do not need full cover. You just need to not be suppressed for 1.45 seconds. And unlike the Point Break perk, this is very viable for solo gameplay. And now to the cons, we only have one right there. And it is the same as the Point Break perk. You need a Q to actually have the bonus armor recovery, and is bad for extended fights. Now that was a lot of numbers. We can finally go into the passive stats from the deck. The ex-president deck gives the following bonuses: 5% dodge for all armor types, an additional 20% dodge for ballistic vests, and 40% health. Now these numbers don't mean much by itself, so next up we're going to be comparing ex-president to the various builds. And in this part of the video, we'll be comparing the various roles and builds within Payday 2 that ex-president can fulfill. It will be mainly a comparison based on numbers, and we will try out these comparisons in gameplay videos at a later time. These will be my personal recommendations, so don't take my word for it and try it out for yourself. A few quick notes before we start. In some of the comparisons, we will be using effective health points or EHP, which is armor and health combined. For dodge, we will be using duck and cover and sneaky bastard from the fugitive tree. Sprinter and daredevil, which is 15% dodge while ziplining. will not be used since we don't really shoot effectively while sprinting or ziplining. For ballistic vests, we will use thick skin from the fugitive tree. Armor builds, we will use bulletproof from the technician tree. And lastly, some irrelevant or obsolete decks like crew chief, gambler, and berserker builds will not be compared. First up, we will compare the DLC rival, the grinder. We will be comparing two different grinder builds, but first the perks. Grinder has 30% chance to pierce 10 armor, can be used in suit or LBV only, while Express works for all armor. They have the same health bonus of 40%. And the regeneration is better. It can stack up to 32 health per second and is triggered by damage, which means extended fights or tanky enemies are not a problem. It's a big plus for Grinder. And one drawback, depending on which side of the fence you are, is DLC only. And with that, the first comparison, Grinder Suit Dodge versus Express Suit Dodge. With Suit's base dodge, Duck and Cover, and Sneaky Bastard, Grinder has 35 dodge compared to Ex-President's 40. Not much of a difference here, so with Grinder's regeneration it is definitely better. In the LBV build, Grinder has practically only 5% dodge even with Duck and Cover and Sneaky Bastard, so it's as good as none. With the relevant skills, Grinder is able to achieve 30, 50 or 75 armor with no dodge at all, and that is using the base armor with thick skin and bulletproof. Ex-President on the other hand has the same amount of armor but can reach up to 20% dodge or 30% with Sneaky Bastard. I'm giving my vote to Ex-President because it utilizes the LBV better. Next on the list, defensive ICTV Yakuza with no Berserker, assuming it is used for the speed and armor recovery. On the Yakuza side, at best, we can achieve a 20% movement boost. On the Ex-President, we have a 40% HP boost, regeneration so there's more room for mistakes, and better armor recovery. Definitely a win for Ex-President as it has more benefits and the movement speed on the Yakuza is not good enough. For the defensive ICTV Armorer, the Armorer in total has 60.5 more armor in ICTV with bulletproof. The Ex-President has more effective health points from the 40% HP boost, regeneration and better armor recovery. Definitely switch to Ex-President if you are still on the defensive Armorer build. We will be comparing the Sociopath on dodge and armor, just like the Grinder, but bear in mind that to get a melee kill with the Sociopath on bigger maps can be a bit problematic with the heavier armors. Same as per the Grinder, it can achieve 5% less than the Ex-President, which is 35% versus 40%. On the Sociopath side, armor recovery is instant. The Panic, armor recovery and regeneration combo in a smaller map can potentially keep you alive. Unfortunately, some of the better melee weapons are DLC. And on the Ex-President side, it has 40% health boost and better regeneration potential. Overall, it's a personal preference. The Sociopath is a bit trickier to use. You'd have to micro on your melee regeneration and Panic, and it doesn't work as well for long distances. Ex-President is simpler to use and an all-rounder. Just like in Dodge, Sociopath can potentially keep you alive with the Panic, armor and health combo for close encounters, and good melee weapons are DLC. In armor, however, the recovery ability doesn't do as well for armors over 60, and heavier armors make it harder for you to run around. For the ex-president, we have the usual 40% health boost, better regeneration potential, plus it works well with all armors. Same conclusion as the dodge build, it's still a personal preference, but ex-president works better with the heavier armors and long distances. And the classic dodge build, Rogue. There's a bit of mixed feelings with the Rogue deck since it's kind of outdated, but at the same time it still holds its own as the best suit dodge deck. Rogue suit dodge can reach 60% dodge versus the ex-president at 40%, so hands down best dodge available. It has 25% chance to pierce, 15% less chance to get targeted when close to crew members, and 80% more weapon swap speed. Express trades in some dodge for regen potential, HP boost, and armor recovery. I call personal preference here. Rogue has many perks, and Express trades those in for survivability. In Ballistic Vest, Rogue has the same dodge as Express, but is more reliant on armor, since at max the achievable dodge is 30%. You'd have to pick up some survival skills, either like Hostage Taker for regeneration, or Pistol Messiah, or 9 lives, so definitely I'm leaning towards ex-president for the Ballistic Vest. Okay, so to compare against the Hitman build, we will definitely want to build it with Akimbos. So there's 20% less armor on the Hitman, and the Akimbo's ability is inferior to the Fugitive version, but you get it without spending any skill points. And for the ex-president, it has better armor recovery, 40% health boost, regeneration, but requires exactly 40 points in Fugitive, Technician, and Enforcer with at least 2 Infamy just to pull off the Tech Forcer ICTV Akimbos. Very skill point intensive here. So for the conclusion, for an ICTV Tech Forcer with Akimbos, it's very skill point intensive and not worth using ex-president. Stick with Hitman instead. As for any armors below that, Hitman has more options available since the Fugitive tree is no longer needed, at the cost of the ex-president perks. Personal preference as usual. Just like the Rogue, the Crook does what it does best. Excel in Ballistic Vest at the cost of no regeneration. We'll look at the dodge version first. Just some numbers to run by here. LBV, able to achieve 35 dodge or 45 with Sneaky Bastard and 82.5 armor, assuming thick skin ace. Ballistic Vest, 30 or 40 dodge and 99 armor. Heavy Ballistic Vest, 25 or 35 dodge and 115.5 armor. Compared to the ex-president, the LBV at 20 or 30 dodge with 50 armor, BV at 15 or 25 dodge with 60 armor, HBV with 10 or 20 dodge with 70 armor. With these numbers, Crook definitely does the Ballistic Vest dodge better, though it trades in the regeneration and armor recovery from ex-president. Same with the armor version, where we will take thick skin and bulletproof with duck and cover for some basic dodge. Crook does it better again, but trades in the ex-president perks. So some numbers for you here. LBV, 49.5 armor base, 82.5 with thick skin and 107.5 with thick skin and bulletproof combined, with 20 dodge or 35 with duck and cover. BV, 66, 99, 129 armor, and 15 or 30 dodge. HBV, 82.5, 115.5, 150.5 armor, and 10 or 25 dodge. If you haven't considered Crook in armor before, you might be shocked at these numbers. Crook has good armor and dodge even in HBV, when compared to a generic CTV build with only 90 armor and no dodge. Continuing with the ex-president side, LBV 30, 50 or 75 armor with 5 or 20 dodge. BV 40, 60 or 90 armor with 0 or 15 dodge. HBV 50, 70 or 105 armor with 0 or 10 dodge. Crook holds up better in ballistic vest, but needs some form of alternate survival or regeneration, just like the rogue suit. Muscle is able to be played in suit as well, but I won't be comparing it as it doesn't quite make sense to me since you have very limited dodge and have to hide and regenerate if you're caught with your pants down. I might do a video on that later though. So a Tech Forcer muscle has 40% more HP, the panic ability, though higher chance to be targeted, 4% regeneration every 5 seconds, and more EHP than ex-president. While ex-president has better armor recovery only, and the regeneration is hardly enough to be listed here. So ex-pres has better armor recovery, while muscle has more room for errors, so ex-president players need to be more careful. I prefer ex-president though because I don't like hiding up and waiting for a huge amount of time just to get the regeneration. The Infiltrator is very much like the Sociopath in that they work with mid-distances and below, but with a very clear distinction. The Infiltrator out of medium range is as good as no perk deck at all. On the Infiltrator side, more EHP due to reduced damage. Regeneration requires melee and triggers on strike and not kills, so you don't need the best melee weapons. It has a melee boost, though it encourages usage of fast striking weapons to benefit from it, and lastly mentioned before, out of medium range is as good as no perk deck at all. Ex-President is a better all-rounder for short and long distances and has better armor recovery. The Infiltrator is definitely more situational and trickier to utilize fully, though I must say the regeneration is easy to use. Down to personal preference again. For the hybrid build, we will be comparing it against the Burglar deck. The Burglar perks are mostly stealth, while the ex-president perks are loud only. The Burglar has better suit dodge and less chance to get targeted as well. On the ex-president side, you have the usual regeneration, HP boost and armor recovery. In short, Burglar works well if you're confident in stealth, but ex-president works better when stealth screws up. So Burglar for non-pro jobs if you prefer to restart, and ex-president for pro jobs. And that's all I have for you at the moment. Some ex-president gameplay links will be here for you. If they are not yet available, do be patient. Otherwise they will be added to a playlist and to this video's description. I apologize for taking so long to finish up on this, and I thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe and stay tuned. I'll be back with more. Signing out.